Hi, my name is Jo Hadley, and this is my podcast, Being a Human Lighthouse. This week, I'm talking about the healing process, or what true health is. We've got a lot of advances in science and medicine, and they're all good. I'm not dissing anything, yet still with chronic pain, chronic injury, chronic illness, it's growing. And that tells me that there's variables that people are not attending to. There's things missing. So what are the missing elements? If you've listened to my podcast before or read any of my posts, you know that I look at how emotion and trauma and patterns and faulty beliefs are trapped in the body. Our body is one huge sensory organ. We're aware that we have eyes, ears, nose, taste, touch, those senses, but the whole body has receptors for picking up information, things that we can see or things that we're aware of, and infinite number of particles and information that we're probably not even aware of. All of that is the nervous system has to take into account and work out whether our body is safe. Therefore, all the energy for the innate nervous system, innate immune system and digestive system, are working to keep us healthy in a state of balance. If we're in danger, then it has to take energy away from the digestive system and immune system and take it to the muscles and areas of the body to help us flee or fight or freeze. This is the chronic stress response. In the short term, the stress response is good and very important, but in a lot of chronic illness and pain and injuries, the body's often trapped in that state. And people often don't know they're in the chronic fight or flight stress response because they've been there for so long it's normal. Research is showing that, babies can be born with lots of anxiety if the mother has been very stressed while they're in the womb. And if other variables after they're born don't counteract that and balance it, then the infant doesn't know how to discharge all this energy, and it can create anxiety. And that anxiety can keep going and persist in through adulthood and be triggering a lot of chronic pain or injuries and illness potentially in the future. Again, there's always multiple variables. If people have a safe, wonderful, supportive, nurturing environment around them with some good people or good community around them, a lot of the negative that we're aware of that causes ill health is often counteracted. So learning these positive variables or variables that can help nourish the innate nervous system is really important. And then with dealing with trauma, there's a lot of different tools that are now available for people to use that can help the body to integrate these. So the body holds on to everything that it doesn't process. The digestive system we're very aware of as we have food, we eat, we take out the nutrients and give it to the body, and then we excrete whatever we don't need. That's how the digestive system works. Well, the emotional digestive system is very similar. When we're in a situation and we're having a reaction to it, if we're able to respond and process it, good, we've let it go. If it's been too overwhelming or too big, or we're too young to understand how to process it, it often gets, like food we might keep for later, it gets pushed to the back of the fridge or gets left in our body to be restored or digested later. A lot of times we may not have the skills to digest this emotional energy later. And like food that's left in the fridge and forgotten about, it can fester into something unpleasant. It also diverts, when we have these unprocessed energies, it diverts a lot of the blood and the energy away from the immune system and digestive system. So we are then less able to fight bugs, viruses, bacteria, or other things that create the acute illnesses. Just increases our probability and risk of acute injuries and illnesses. If the body is healthy, it can overcome these, and then we move on. But often we can get stuck because our body is stuck in this chronic fight or flight, which means the immune system just isn't able to work as well as it should. This healing process is a bit like layers. And it's also like being in school. So if the layers are like school, with grade 1 at the bottom, grade 12 at the top, you can't start your healing process by starting at grade 12. A lot of us want things gone, and we want them to go straight away, and we often are aiming to just get to grade 12 without having gone through all the other grades. When it comes to true healing, we have to just start where we are. So if we have already some tools, good, we might already start in grade 3. But if we're just starting out and we don't know much, we have to start at the beginning, and it's step by step. So remember, you can't jump school levels. And with processing these energies that are stored in our body, we have to do it slowly. The body has to get used to the new point of balance. Even if it's not fully healed, it still has to get used to whatever it's let go of, reorder itself. And I'm impatient, like most other people. I'm often still catching myself wanting to get to grade 12 when I might be in a lower level. But catching yourself and being aware of it. Again, awareness is always the most important step to healing anything. If we're not aware that we're doing something, we can't change it. And it's not about beating ourselves up, because again, that just creates more chronic stress. It's about, wow, okay, realizing you've done something, acknowledging it and going, okay, now I know better. Now I've got more skills. Let's go back. Where are we? It does take time. And a lot of people also say with this work that if something comes back again, they think it's failed. But the journey is also like a spiral. So if we look at something from a distance, you wouldn't just be doing the same thing over and over again. You often, as you get more tools, more practice at integrating all this unintegrated emotions that's trapped in the body, it's more like a spiral. And as we develop tools and as we go through the higher grades, we dip back down into old wounds, old triggers, old issues. Things that we thought we've healed can come back, but often not to the point they were to start with. We're often just going deeper because now we've got more tools and more awareness. It would not be really healthy to dump someone in grade 12 with no tools and say, okay, go and fix something. You've got to just do step by step and find the process and the tools that you need for that particular part of the journey. There's a lot of awareness about this now. There's a lot of people talking about the different ways to integrate things. It can be overwhelming too, choosing techniques. I mean, EFT tapping can be one. Mindfulness is part of it, breath work. There's all sorts of different exercises or trauma-releasing exercises people can do. And it's just about finding what resonates for you and what's right for you at this moment. And tools and techniques that we use today might not, as we get better, may be useless later. So everything's always in flux, everything's always changing, everything's always expanding. And it's not about nothing changing. It means you're going deeper, getting further, and you don't need the same tool all the time. If one tool could get us to the end, I think we would have all gotten healthier and fitter and better already. But there's multiple tools, and as we generally start to understand the science behind what's going on, and then with that knowledge, more tools and exercises are also being developed. And as we're all asking these questions, we're evolving this process. So tools change. You may do lots of meditation at one point, and then you may evolve into doing more walking meditations or running as meditation or doing something else that is more mindfully based. I've done many different types of breath work over the years, just depending on what I feel resonates with me at the time. I know that breath work's important. It's a really great way to connect with my inner being and to regulate my nervous system. But the type of breath work can vary, and it's just finding the right thing for you at the right time. Some people don't like breath work, and that's fine. There's many, many tools out there. But just knowing its layers and like a spiral. And it's a bit like also, seeing as I seem to be in metaphor heaven today, it's like as humans we have this energetic ball of twine around us. And all this ball of twine is all our unprocessed patterns. So as we develop tools to gently and gradually unravel this ball of energetic twine, we're getting closer to our core. And what is our core? Our core is our inner essence, our true self. It's like who we really are. You could call it embodied soul. I'm sure we can call it many things, and it's not important to argue over what it is, but we all have this inner essence. It's interesting in trauma and somatic work. It's just given in a few techniques that we have this inner essence, which has a very almost spiritual quality to it. And I know from my work as a physio, anything with a spiritual connotation was often rejected. But the more I know about science and spirituality, is they're one and the same thing. Just science is gradually learning to describe and explain what a lot of the spiritual traditions have known. And the more work I do with somatic work, it is about going within. You can only heal someone else to the extent you've healed yourself. So I'm always doing the work to go deeper and deeper and deeper within myself, so then I can hold a better space for people who come to see me as a client. The more I've let go of my own issues and unprocessed emotions, the deeper I can hold someone else. I mean, most of us have probably encountered the opposite, just to prove this point. Like if you've been really upset about something and you've just received like a cold platitude, or people have brushed you off. A good example is grief. If you've lost a dog, or even sometimes if people have lost someone very close to them, if someone hasn't done their own healing work, other people's grief and pain is too hard for them to deal with. So they often don't want to talk about it. They'll avoid that person, or they'll just brush it off, or sometimes say things that, very unhelpful. And that's a sign of the other person, while being very, very well-meaning and not putting them down. But if they haven't done their work, they can't help someone else who really needs to be held in a compassionate space. So the person who has sat with their own pain and sat with their own grief and let it dissolve and integrate, they're able to hold a better space. And as I say, we're all on a continuum from the deepest, darkest, nastiest energies at one end, and Christ consciousness and Buddha consciousness at the other end. I would love to achieve Christ consciousness and Buddha consciousness. I'm not there yet, but every day I do my work and hopefully get to deeper layers of myself, so I can actually hold space at a deeper level for others and the clients who come to see me. So it's this inner essence that we're trying to reach. And as we tune into ourselves more, the more we start to unravel and let go, we start to get our own insight or inner wisdom and intuition working more, which then guides us It's very hard at the beginning, and I understand a lot of us outsource our energy to others, like we look to others for telling us what to do. That's often a sign of the beginning stages. But as we get more tools and we learn to go within ourselves and trust ourselves and start to integrate, we need the outer person's advice and power a lot less. It can be guidance. Like the work I do is I don't advise people. My thing is I'm trying to guide you into your own inner wisdom. So your inner wisdom knows what you need. My inner wisdom knows what I need. But I'm trying to guide you to see and access your own inner wisdom, as opposed to coming to see me for some advice or telling you what to do. I will never tell you what to do, because I don't believe I know your life that as well as you do. I don't think anyone knows my life as well as I do. So when I go to health practitioners and people myself, I like to try to remind myself not to give them too much power, to listen and tune into myself to see how much it resonates. Then make the choice. The more we can actually access our own inner wisdom, the better we can choose the tools and techniques that suit us. But at the beginning, when we're starting, we may need to rely on someone else a little bit more. Reading and listening to podcasts, like reading posts, listening to podcasts, learning from books or teachers about the science and the different tools around. Anything that gives us knowledge and increased information, increased awareness can only be helpful. Helpful to get us back to ourselves. And with my journey, every avenue I went down all took me to the same path. Whether I was looking at chronic pain, whether I was looking at trauma, whether I was even just looking at health generally. Every book or source always come back to we needed to have a regulated nervous system. We need to have our body in balance and out of chronic fight or flight. We needed to be living in the more regenerative emotions. And underneath it all was an inner essence, a core of our own being, our own inner wisdom that could help guide us there, and was what we were trying to access more. And the closer we get to this core, the healthier we are, the wiser we are. Because this core is our true self, our perfect version of ourselves, and it knows everything we need to keep us in optimal balance and health. So, with that said, I'm going to finish off the podcast with my usual meditative healing process. It's a presencing process as well. So if you're listening to this, I encourage you to sit down or lie down, because presencing is about being in the here and now. Doing other activities doesn't do that. It scatters our attention. And healing depends on being present. The present moment is the most powerful moment. Allowing ourselves time to sit with ourselves is really important. So if you can just sit down or lie down, if you'd like to close your eyes, I invite you to do so. And just pay attention to your body as it's supported on the chair or bed or couch. Just be aware of your body as it's supported. Feel what your feet are feeling. Just notice what your hands are doing and if they're touching anything. Just get a sense of what your body is like in this present moment in the material physical world. And just imagine you're connecting your feet to the earth and feeling all the energy and wisdom from the earth, because the earth contains all the minerals, the oxygen, the water, everything we need to sustain our physical bodies and our physical material world. We cannot help but be connected to the earth and the world, the physical world. We're also made up of all the elements that make up the stars, so we are actually connected to the universe. So just imagine all the empty space around you is all connected to the universe and leading back to the center of the universe. So we're sitting as a conduit between the expansive, infinite universe above and around us and the physical material of the earth below. I invite you, if you like, to place your hand on your heart and just breathe in a little bit slower and deeper than you usually would. As you breathe in, imagine the oxygen is bringing in all the infinite information of the universe. And it's filling up every cell in your body. And as you breathe out, you're letting go of everything you no longer need. Breathe in low and slow, filling up every cell in your body with oxygen and every bit of wisdom and information from the universe that you need for your cells, for your body. And breathe out everything you no longer need, all the patterns and faulty beliefs, all the old programming, the traumas and patterns. And now I invite you just to notice the areas of your body. Are there areas that feel no sensation? Are there areas that feel pleasant or unpleasant? Just invite you to be aware of the sensations in your body. If it's numb, it's okay. Everything is okay because we're just allowing the body to be as it is. And it's allowed to express however it wishes to express, however it is safe to express. Knowing that the sensations we're feeling, especially unpleasant ones, are a lot of the unprocessed emotions. The very things that we want to integrate, these unprocessed emotions and faulty patterns and traumas, are often what's blocking our health and keeping us chronically stressed and our nervous system dysregulated. So this is just a way to listen. Allow these patterns to actually be seen and just witness them with curiosity and compassion. You're not trying to change them. Just be with them. Just allow them to be there. And if anything's too overwhelming, you've got a choice. Either move somewhere else in the body and just notice something that's more pleasant, or you can open your eyes and focus on something that you see or hear in the room. Just know that you're just sitting and observing and witnessing sensations that are in your body. These sensations, once they're witnessed, can be really unpleasant. But they're just sensations. like food that's been forgotten about in the fridge for months or years or decades. Once you notice it, it's going to smell and be a bit whiffy and be very unpleasant. But just in the noticing and the being okay, just looking at it and being with it, just allows you to let it go. And at any time you want to stop or open your eyes, just do so. You're in control. Now I invite you to return back to your breath. Just breathe in, low and slow again, filling up every cell of your body again with light, love, information, wisdom. Really tune into your heart area. Just breathe in and out. And now I'm just going to invite you to imagine, what would it feel like if you actually were living as your true self, as who you really would love to be? What would you feel? How much joy would you feel? What would it be like to feel joy? How much peace would you feel? And where would you feel that in your body? How much love would you feel? Would it feel expansive and light? How would it feel to just be living the life that you really love to live? Who would be with you? Where would you be living? Maybe you already have a life that's close to your true self. How does that feel? Just imagine what it would feel like. You don't have to know exactly where you'd be, who you'd be with, or what you'd be doing. Just feeling those feelings is the most important thing. Because whatever shows up on the outside, if it matches these feelings, it's probably going to be good. And how much joy or peace or love are you able to feel? Is it difficult to feel? Even just attempting, even just 2% feeling what it would feel like would be, it's a start. It will get you in the right direction. And if you can't, that's okay. Can you just be neutral or content with neutral? Wherever you're at is okay. Everything is a start. And some days are easier than others. So now just a few more breaths, just really breathing in and filling up the whole body with how wonderful it would be to live the life that you would really desire to live, to be who you really would desire to be. By allowing yourselves to know this feeling, you're actually creating the GPS to try and attract it into your life. And this is a start, because we've got to know where we're going. Because if you don't know where you're going, how do you know you've arrived when you get there? So knowing how it would feel to arrive, or who you'd love to be at your true essence, we're guiding our body there and allowing it to recognize the difference between the unprocessed and the way it would feel if it was truly in balance. Now I just invite you just return to your breath. You can open your eyes, wiggle your toes, move your hands, move around the chair, and just come back to the room that you're in and just check in. Do you feel lighter? Do you feel different? Maybe something's been irritated or activated. If it is, just allow it. A lot of the times when we start to process and see what's been hidden within our bodies, it can come up as unpleasant. And sometimes it can be a bit scary. If things get too overwhelming, then I always tell people to get the assistance of either a somatic therapist or trauma therapist, someone who can professionally know what to do and sit with you with overwhelming emotions and overwhelming sensations. So if you've felt any changes, I'd be happy to hear about them. So you can always just drop me a line in the comments. Let me know how this was for you. And until next week, have a great week.